Hey guys, John Lee Dumas here, founder and host of EO Fire, and you're listening to Bravepreneur Parents Academy with Balaji O.
Welcome to Bravepreneur Parents Academy, where the world's most inspiring entrepreneurs reveal their most defining childhood moments and share their legacy for raising brave little heroes who will grow up to change the world. And now, he still reads comic books under the blanket at bedtime. Please welcome your host, best-selling author, award-winning speaker, and self-confessed geek dad, Balaji O. You know, like the hotel in Vegas? Yeah, no, that's really his name. Balaji O.
Everyone, and welcome to Bravepreneur Parents Academy, where the world's most inspiring entrepreneurs reveal their most defining childhood moment and share their legacy for raising brave little heroes who will grow up to change the world. Today, we are talking to a very special guest. Some of you might know him as Sunshine Dad. He is Mike from sunshinedad.com. He's a stay-at-home dad and a phenomenal father. Today, we're going to get into his story. We're going to talk about Mad Cow Improv. We're going to talk about the fact that this man cried to the Notebook. I did as well. Don't be mad. And we're going to talk about whether or not the state of Florida is actually Southern. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. Without further ado, please help me welcome Mike Smith. Mike, welcome.
Hey, man. Thank you so much for having me on.
Mike, we are very excited to be talking to you. You are one of the rising stars in the daddy blogging space. You've not been doing it for that long, and yet your site is one of the top daddy blogs on topmommybloggers.com, ironically.
Yes. Yes.
So we're going to talk a little bit about how you have been able to have that phenomenal rise up the scales. But first, before we get into that, why don't you tell us a little bit about your family? So you've got 4 beautiful kids, yeah?
That is correct. I have our oldest son is 6. He's in 1st grade. Our second son is 4 years old. He is in VPK, which is a pre-kindergarten. It's right before kindergarten. That's a program that Florida has, stands for voluntary pre-kindergarten. It's like half-day program that he goes to. And then our third child, daughter, she is about to turn 4 next month. And then our youngest boy is 18 months, something like that, give or take. I should probably know the exact number of weeks how old he is, but I have no idea. He turns 2 in March.
He turns 2 at some point in the future.
I can tell you that. Yeah.
This is why we have moms, ladies.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, Mike, you got 4 kids. Did you come from a large family yourself?
No, I didn't. I had one sister who was 2 years younger, and my wife was the oldest of 3. So, just somewhere along the line, we decided we wanted a larger family. So
just decided to go for it.
Yeah, we went with it.
And that's awesome. So where did sunshinedad.com come from? How in the world did you decide to become a dad blogger?
Well, I had gone several people, friends, had thrown the idea out to me that I should start a blog, and I kind of I just flat out ignored the idea for quite a while, and mainly because I just never really liked writing in school, like as an academic class. It was just not one of my favorite things to do, and I thought, why in the world would I voluntarily, subject myself to something that I just didn't enjoy doing?
Sounds like work.
Right. And so I just kind of put it out of the back of my mind. Well, a friend of ours, of my wife and I, she has a quite successful fashion blog that she's been doing for 4 or 5 years, I believe. And her husband came and visited with us one like extended weekend, and she got talking about the blog, and I was kind of pressing her about it, and she said to me, "Listen, don't, just because you didn't like writing in school, don't think don't think that you might not like writing a blog. She said, as a blog, you get to write what you want to write, things that you like to write about. Nobody's telling you how often you have to write or how long it has to be or when it's going to be due by. She said, don't confuse, an English assignment for writing a blog. That they shouldn't be compared to each other. And I thought, that's interesting. So what I ended up doing, a few days later, I started a blog and didn't tell anybody.
Didn't tell anyone?
Not a soul. I didn't tell my wife. I didn't tell her. I just told no one. Some random people from the internet somehow stumbled across it here and there. I could see on my stats, I had like 6 people who read one of my posts once, and I was like, whoa, where are these crazy people coming from? But the reason why I did that is I was a little bit concerned that I wasn't going to like it. And so what I really didn't want to have happen was making some big deal on Facebook or wherever else to my friends saying, hey, I'm starting this blog. Come check it out. Come see what I'm doing or whatever. Come support me, please. And then 6 days later, be like, I really do hate writing. So, sorry, everybody.
Sorry.
So, right. So I just didn't want to do that. So I think it was about 3 weeks. 3 weeks passed, and I realized she was right. It's writing an academic paper for your English teacher is really not the same as writing a blog post about something silly your kid did last week or.
So you were actually enjoying this
I was enjoying it. I truly was enjoying it. So. And
when did you start? This was what?
So the very first post I had was like right around Halloween, maybe the day before Halloween.
Okay.
Of this most recent Halloween. So then sometime in mid-November, I then came out, if you will, as a blogger, and found good success. A lot of my my friends on Facebook and in real life have been very supportive of it, and it did well. And sometime around April or May, then I decided to go ahead and go self-hosted to get off the free blog, platform that I was on. And then, and that was facilitated. Actually, that was sweet of my wife because she bought me my domain name. She bought me sunshinedad.com for Valentine's Day.
Wow.
So that was cool, and that was in February. But then it probably took me till April to then feel like I kind of had my ducks in a row to go ahead and because at that point, like, I had the domain, but that was just the name. Like, if you went to sunshinedad.com, then it directed you. I basically had it set up to it directed you back to my free blog.
Right.
So it took me a little bit to kind of feel like I got my ducks in a row, and so then I went ahead and went self-hosted, and then at that point, like, it really shot off.
Wow.
I started getting companies were contacting me wanting to review products, and so I'm getting various valued products, some more than others, and some quite pricey.
Wow. So did you seek out these opportunities? Did you go look for?
I did not. The driving force behind that, I truly believe, was the topmommybloggers.com. They have like a niche set out for the dad bloggers, and so I had gotten registered with them, and within the first month, I shot up to the top of the dad bloggers.
Wow.
And so that has really been a big driving force for people coming to me. Mm-hmm. And that first email that came through, somebody was going to give me a product to review. Like, it was almost like a little bit surreal, It's like, gosh, I've barely been doing this 6 months, and now people are sending me free stuff. Like,
that's awesome.
Like, this is cool, And then it wasn't longer after that, then ad agencies and like marketing campaigns started contacting me or saying like, hey, if you write posts, like we'll actually pay you money. Like we're not going to give you some like we're not going to give you something. We're actually going to like give you cash. So that was kind of like a little mind-boggling. Where like I knew, obviously I knew that things like that existed, but I kind of felt like that was so far down the road. Like I felt like, man, you really got to work your butt off, and you really got to bust it for a while before you're going to reap any rewards like that. So it seemed to come. It came a little bit quicker than I was expecting, and now it's to the point where I get so many requests for things a week. Like I have to turn a lot of stuff away.
Wow.
Which is like crazy for me to hear me say out loud. When like 4 months ago I couldn't believe. Anybody wanted me to do anything, I couldn't say yes fast enough. And now I'm having to like turn people away, like it's kind of, I'm surprised by it a little bit, to be honest.
That is definitely fascinating. And you and your family have a great story. Part of the thing that makes SunshineDad.com so attractive is you've got a beautiful family, and your posts are very personable, a lot of personality, kids are adorable. What I want to understand and get at is, Mike, the decision process for your becoming a stay-at-home dad.
Okay.
How did that work?
Sure. I mean, the short answer is it was a financial decision. Mm-hmm. The long answer, my wife and I met at the University of Florida. We were both going to school there, and that's where we met, and then we got married. And I was actually I hadn't graduated yet. I think I was a junior. She had just graduated when we got married. And once I had graduated, then she wanted to pursue her career a little bit further, and wanted to become a PA, a physician assistant. Right. So we'd hoped that she could get into school there at the University of Florida, but she didn't get in. Had applied to a few other schools, one of which was in Connecticut, and it was one of the top 10 programs in the country. So we decided that we would go ahead and move there. This time we had no kids. It was just the two of us. So we moved up to Connecticut. She did her schooling. And we stayed there because it's surprisingly easier not to pack up all your things and move across the country than it is to move across the country. So we stayed there for a few more years, even after she graduated. Right. And then finally, the other thing was, as a new grad, she didn't have wasn't like, it's a challenge for a new grad of anything to find jobs. Sure. So it was this, just because she was coming out of school with a master's degree, it was no different for her. But she had done some internships there, so she had several job offers there because of her internships. So a lot of it just made sense for us to stay there and for her to work and get experience. Right. So she'd been working there almost about 5 years after she graduated, and then we had our first child, and both of our families still lived in Florida. And it was tough because we did, grandparents didn't get to see their grandchild, but once or twice a year. And it was like we didn't, we had great friends there, but we didn't have a family support system anywhere nearby, And so then we had the second kid. Yeah. And it's like we've got to get back to family, And I didn't want my kids. I knew both sets of my grandparents very well, and had really great relationships with the four of them. And it's like, I wanted that for my kids too. Like I want them to know their grandparents and for that to be part of their lives. So it was like, we got to get back, So she, and then at this point she's making, more than 3 times more than I was, even there in Connecticut, when we were in Connecticut. Okay. So when we came to move back to Florida, it was like, all right, let her get a job first. Right. Because that's where the money, that's where the money is for our family. And then once we kind of get settled in, then, and I'll find a job as well. And we'll go from there, which we were both working in Connecticut. I was doing, my background is like youth and recreation type of stuff. So after school programs, summer camps, I worked for a little bit for the Department of Children and Families in Florida.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, so that's my background. So we came here to Florida. She gets her job, and then we hadn't been here very long, 2 months, and she had gotten pregnant again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, the job that I need to find now has to provide at least enough income for 3 kids to be in daycare for it to even make sense. You know, like daycare's not cheap.
No.
And so, you know, like if we're losing money for me to go to work, like that doesn't make, you know, like it doesn't make a lot of sense to anybody.
I got you.
So,
yeah.
You know, in summer camp work, while it's really rewarding and a whole lot of fun, like they pay you in juice boxes and gold. So, you know, it was, you know, still is a challenge to try to find, a job that's at a good provide for your family wage in that field. And then, you know, by the time we had our 4th kid, it's just kind of like, well, forget it. I'll have to, you know, like in order for me to provide an income that makes sense, like I need to start a company or something, you know, buy a franchise or something. Like it's no longer feasible for me to just, you know, send in a resume somewhere and for me to get a job that's, you know, going to support us. So that's how that, you know, that's me staying at home came about. It wasn't necessarily like how we sat down and the decision was made that I'm, you know, the most qualified of the two to, you know, to clean the house and cook dinner and, you know, stay with the kids. It just happened to be one of those financial decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So.
That makes sense. And this is actually a really good transition, Mike, because I want to take you back and take the audience back now. You're obviously a very good father. You're good at what you do. So I want to go back to your childhood, and we're going to do the childhood lightning round right now.
Okay.
And we're going to find out what DNA was put together to give you your dad's superhero powers. Okay. So you ready? You ready to get into the light?
I'm ready.
Okay, we're going to fly through these very quickly. All right, number 1, favorite superhero.
Ooh, I wasn't big into the traditional superheroes, to be honest. If I had to pick one, I think I looked up a lot to David from the Bible, David and Goliath fame. Because as a kid, I thought like he was just a regular boy like myself who stood up to this big bully when a whole country wouldn't do it, and you know he was brave about that. So he always kind of stuck out to me as somebody that was really somebody I looked up to, I guess.
Did David wear spandex by chance?
I don't know. Maybe. Had it been invented yet? I'm not sure.
Not too sure. All right, we're going to allow that one. Because we're not sure. He might have had spandex.
He might have.
All right. So, favorite cartoon show?
My favorite cartoon show was DuckTales.
DuckTales.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
That was a little bit because of genuinely I liked the show, and also a little bit because we only got three channels. And so, you had to watch what was on. And DuckTales had a long run there. So
There you go. That's awesome. I haven't seen that in forever. Favorite video game?
That was Super Tecmo Bowl.
Super Tecmo Bowl? I never played that one.
Yeah, that was from the original Nintendo. I think we got the original Nintendo for Christmas when I was like 5. And then I didn't have another video game console till I bought a PlayStation in college.
Oh wow!
So I was
into the rabbit hole.
Yeah,
now.
I was an original Nintendo kid for my youth. So that was probably my favorite game.
That's awesome. Favorite family tradition?
Ooh, that was always Thanksgiving. I tried to. I mean, obviously, as a kid, you love Christmas morning, But I'm not trying to act like I didn't love Christmas morning. But every Thanksgiving, our family would have a family reunion on Thanksgiving, And so usually that was in Orlando, which was maybe an hour and a half away from where we lived. And at first I kind of thought I didn't like it. And then the older I got, the more I realized, like, I really did like that tradition. And I liked keeping in touch with, some of our family that really I didn't know them very well. And I only knew them because I saw them every Thanksgiving, but like, it was nice to, it was just kind of nice to stay somewhat connected to those guys. And I think part of that maybe is because we were a little bit of a smaller family, just the four of us, and then I guess we did have my four grandparents that lived nearby. But like that was kind of it. There wasn't this massive cousins and all this. I had some aunts and uncles, I guess. But anyways, the point of the story was it was just nice coming together and being like, oh yeah, I do have a bigger family than what I maybe think about on a regular basis.
On a regular basis.
Yeah.
So what was, Mike, maybe one of the embarrassing moments for you as a child? We all had them, whether it was in elementary or middle or high school. What's a memory that sticks out for you?
Something that sticks out to me, and it was pretty late. This was like senior year of high school. I had was driving, and we had to have like a parking thing to put on our rearview mirror in order to park in the lot. Well, my front window had this strip. My windshield had this strip of dark tint. It was very hard to see my rearview mirror through the tint. But I had my decal there, but I kept getting parking tickets from the rent-a-cop that patrolled the thing.
Right.
And so I left this rather juvenile and obnoxious note on my dashboard, insulting him about his weight and some other things, and pointing out that my parking decal was exactly where it needed to be. And, he needed to stop giving me tickets, whatever. Well, so I leave that in my, dash, maybe third period, some school official comes to get me out of class,
Wow.
And, so I go to see the dean, and, he calls my dad, and so I'd gotten like 3 days of in-school suspension or something like this for that. And so I've been in. So I was, and this is like the first. I was a pretty good kid. That was probably the first discipline I'd ever gotten in all of school. And so I'm sitting in this in-school detention thing, and it's. I've been there most of the day at this point. Well, then the assistant principal comes walking in the door, and he kind of points at me and like motions like, "You come here." He takes me outside, and he just looks at me and he goes, "Mike, what in the world, man? Like, what is going on? Like, why did you do that?" And man, I just broke down. Like, I started crying.
Wow.
And he's like, all right, get your stuff, come to my office. And so it was close to the end of the day, man, and I just I'm just bawling. I'm bawling in his office, and I'm like, I don't know, like my dad's going to kick me off the baseball team because of this. Like this was so dumb, like. So anyways, he kind of made the whole thing, like he had the write-up there where I was in trouble or whatever, and he just kind of like slid it under a stack of papers on his desk, and he said, listen, this probably is going to get lost in some paperwork. He said, finals are coming up. You need to be in your classes, and this is pretty out of character for you. And I know we're not going to have to deal with this anymore, right? It's like, absolutely. But by that time the bell rang. So everybody's flooding out. I got to go out to the parking lot. Of course, the whole school at this point knows what's happened. They're coming up to me. Like, it's blatantly obvious that I've just been bawling my eyes out too. So it's like, here I am trying to be big shot, senior on campus.
Senior.
And clear, I've just been crying like a baby, in the assistant principal's office. So that was a little humbling.
Man, 12 years of building up a rep.
Yeah. Yeah.
All going out with the years.
Yeah. Well, whoops.
That's wow. That's a doozy right there. So you talked about your dad perhaps kicking you off of the baseball team. What was your dad's parenting style? How did you guys kind of relate when you were growing up?
Yeah, that was well. Let me. I guess I will answer your question. Let me go in to say when we got home that day, man, I don't know what's going on, but I basically expected my life as I knew it to be over.
So you still expected him to find out?
Well, I knew he knew. Like they called him. Like I had to talk to him.
They called him.
They called him and like he wanted to talk to me, and he was like, "Is this true?" Like basically, he was like, "Is this true?" That's
right.
the only thing he said.
That's the only thing he wanted to know.
Yeah, and so it was like, yeah. I think I said like he didn't quote my letter word for word, but yes, So I essentially expected to not leave my room for the next 7 months. And he sat the whole family down, and like what came out of his mouth, was profound on me. He sits down and he looks at all of us and he says, I just want to apologize to you guys. He says, I haven't been a very good father lately.
Whoa.
And I was like, what? And like my mom just breaks down, like my sister breaks down, and he said like it's my responsibility to be head of the house and to kind of be a good role model and keep everybody in the right direction. He goes, and I haven't been doing that very well lately. And he says, I need everybody to forgive me. And it was just like, what? Like I'm the one that's supposed to be in trouble here, like what is going on, And so that was really, I don't know, like hit me like, gosh, my decisions it's not just about me either, like it's a reflection of my family, of my dad, and as a parent now, like I can see, like it makes sense to me. Like when my kids do something overly embarrassing, like that makes me look bad too, or at least I feel like it makes me look bad. So anyways, I wanted to finish out how my dad handled that, but
I did not see that coming.
to go back to our relationship, he was, he was just an incredible man, and still is. He was a great dad. He worked full time, and my mom stayed home with us for like the first 9 years of my life, I think, till she went back to work. But he would come home from work, and it wasn't like he needed to unwind from his day. Like, don't bother him. He's going off. It was like, I'm home. I'm your dad. Like, what are we gonna do? And so, I was into sports. And he was like the assistant or head coach for everything we did. And his thought was like, I've got to drive, I've got to drive you to practice and wait for you. Like I might as well be involved. I don't get to see you that much as it is. Like I want to take advantage of every opportunity I can. And so, sports and athletics being a big part of my life growing up, that the memory of me playing sports is also very intertwined with my dad, of just spending great quality time with my dad, being able to bond with him and so that was cool. And he also was he's an avid hunter. He really enjoyed bow hunting was his big thing. Wow. As he's gotten older, it's harder for him to pull back the bow, so he's kind of switched over to a black powder rifle, like old school, like pour the powder down in the barrel, stick the bullet there, ram it down. So he would we would go on hunting trips and stuff like that. So that was also like a lot of really great quality time, where it's just him and I, maybe a couple other guys that would go with us. Usually also some really great male role models, and it's just kind of to intertwine life, talking about life and talking about nature and stuff. It was good. It was was valuable, I guess.
That's amazing. And one thing I'd like to know, Mike, is what qualities or practices of your dad's have you been incorporating into your fatherhood?
Sure.
I don't believe your kids are old enough to play team sports yet. I might be wrong. Maybe your oldest one is playing.
My youngest ones have started like instructional league flag football and like instructional league soccer. So it's very it's very like, let's learn how to kick a ball. Let's learn how to, let's learn how to pull a flag. More so than like, hey, we're a team and we're trying to beat this other team. It's more of like, let's try to learn some basics. But to incorporate some of the things, like one thing my dad was really good at, instead of just saying like, don't do that, he would say like, I don't want you to do this because this is why. And he would do a really good job of trying to explain like, I'm not just trying to be mean. I'm not just trying to brush you off. I truly believe that this is a bad decision, and here's why. I want you to be able to kind of process it for yourself and think about it. And later in life, that was just a regular pattern that he would do. It wasn't a because I said so necessarily. It was and here's why for a lot of things. And then as I got older and would go off, with my buddies on my own and do stuff, he would always say as I was leaving, just use common sense. And he'd say, if you just use some common sense, you'll be all right. And I thought that was all, and there were times where, hanging out with some guys, I'd, think about doing something, and in the back of my mind, I'd be like, that's just bad common sense. I'm just not going to do that because that is just, there's very little common sense in that. And so that's something I try to do too, even though my kids are young and, their capacity to understand some larger things is maybe limited, but they still understand things. And I try to, if I'm telling them I don't want you to do this, or here's why I do want you to do this, I try my best to explain in terms that they can understand of like why, not just because dad says so, right, or, because I'm in charge. I try my best to also do that, and here's why. Like, let's think about it a little bit, and here's the reasons why. I want to dig into that a little bit more, Mike, because that's a phenomenal practice, not just to use with your kids, but also with your spouse and pretty much whomever else you have a relationship with. But it's not always easy. It's kind of like how we all have a lot of willpower when conditions are great. But when we're tired, stressed out, frustrated, it's been a long week. Yep. Oh yeah.
So how does that work?
Yeah. Well, those are the times when I fail. To be honest, when it's the end of the day and they've gotten out of their bed 5 times, for reasons of complete nonsense. My toe is cold. Like, what? Put your blanket on. Like, I don't, that's when I lose that focus sometimes and lose that. And I think about it later. I'm like, gosh, they're just kids, like I need to keep a little more even keel about it. But you're right. It's hard. It's very hard. And the less sleep you have, the more it, kind of, I don't know, becomes easier to lose your cool a little bit.
Yeah. That's sort of one of the things that I struggle with as a dad sometimes, in that when I'm refreshed and my patience bank deposit account is full and everything. Oh man, I'm awesome. Right. I'm the man at those times. Sure. And then there are the other times when I snap at my kids, and afterward I'm like, I really wish I hadn't done that. Sure. So I know, I hear you. I'm the same way. There'll be times where I'll yell at them. I'm like, gosh, why am I yelling at my kids? Like, where did I learn that from? Because nobody yelled at me growing up, like where did that come from? And then, on the good times, I'll catch it and I'll catch myself and I'll be like, you know what, guys, let's go to the backyard. Like I'm going to make up a game and we're all going to laugh and, we're going
gonna kind of hit the reset button on this here a little bit, you know. It gets for me too, being a stay-at-home dad doesn't just encompass being a father. It's also like the housekeeper, and I still keep most of the traditional male roles. You know, as far as like yard upkeep and vehicle maintenance and, you know, repairs around the home. Like I'm still doing some of that stuff. So I think the other thing too, like I start to get bogged down when it's like, gosh, I'm supposed to, you know, fold some laundry and I gotta make dinner, and, you know, I need to clean up the playroom and like all these things that aren't really having to do necessarily with being a father. And then the kids come in and they want me to, you know, play Hungry Hungry Hippos, you know, and they've asked me like 14 times, and I'm like yelling like, I'm not going to play Hungry Hungry Hippos with you, you know, because you know, and then like I hear myself and I'm like, what, like, who am I right now? You know, like this poor 3-year-old just wants to play Hungry Hungry Hippos with her dad, like, and I'm just yelling at her because, you know, the counter needs to be wiped down. So, you know, those are times when it's like, you know, I don't feel too good about myself, you know. So,
Mike, what's one sort of amazing breakthrough that you've had as a father? Is there something that you've kind of learned or discovered that surprised you?
Well, I think the biggest thing for me was when our first child was born, the love that I had for him. And it was a love that I hadn't experienced before. You know, it was like a different type of love. Like, you know, I loved my wife. I love my mom and dad. Like I don't love them in the same way. You know, I love a great T-bone steak. You know, it's also a different type of love, you know. And then this kid shows up, and like my heart just is filled with this other type of love that I honestly didn't know existed.
Wow.
You know, and you know, I guess you heard it say like the love, you know, a parent's love for a child or whatever, but I didn't make the connection of like it's a different experience of love that you really can't put into words until you've got this little thing that, you know, it is yours and somehow came from your DNA, and, you know, you watch grow in your wife's belly for 9 months and then here it is, you know, and it's like their whole world is dependent on you taking care of them at this point, you know. And I just remember I'm being so proud of my son, and he's like 3 days old. He's literally not done one thing except pooped himself a couple of times. But literally, I could not have possibly been more proud of anything in my whole life. It's like, this is weird. Like, this makes no sense. But gosh, I love this kid, and I'm really proud of him. You know. And I've shared that sentiment with other dads, and almost across the board they've kind of agreed with that. You know, that was something that they weren't necessarily expecting.
I understand. Mike, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up in a few minutes, but before we do, I want to know if, let's say your kids get to listen to this, and not just today while they're 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, but looking back, let's say they get to look back 20 years from now. Maybe they even have their own kids 25 years from now, 30 years from now. What would you like to say to future them about days?
Yeah, you're trying to make me cry, right? Is that the plan here?
The Kleenex right here.
Make Mike cry on the podcast. Gosh, what would I tell them about what just kind of what's going on right now in our lives.
Yeah,
like,
so they're getting to look back. Some of the stuff that's happening now, they're not going to remember.
Sure.
And, decisions you've made now or traditions you might have had now, they might not remember,
Right.
So how would you kind of leave them a time?
Yeah, like I would just want, like, gosh, just let them know how much I love them and how much I'm trying, it's sometimes not successfully, but trying to be a good example to them of what a man should be, and what a father should be, and what a husband should be. And sometimes I come embarrassingly short of doing that great, but I hope on the whole that they're able to kind of overlook my flaws and take away some of the good parts. And I really want them to like be each other's best friends, even growing up. Like even when they're older, I want their kids to be friends, and I want them to get together on Thanksgivings and Christmas mornings, and like I hope and instill that sense of like we're family, and forever, like till death do us part, type of a thing. And I just hope they can remember some of the laughs we've had. I don't know.
It's really profound, because you sharing that sort of, obviously makes me think of my kids. They're about the same age as yours.
Sure.
And a lot of the stuff that sometimes takes up so much of my focus and so much of my energy, how important is that stuff going to be 20 years from now?
Right.
Versus, you wiping down the counter, for example, or doing that next load of laundry versus playing Hungry Hungry Hippo.
Right.
That game of Hungry Hungry Hippo might be the thing they actually remember.
Of course. And and I've thought about the blog too. Like, am I somehow like doing a disservice to my kids? Because like sometimes it takes time away. It takes me away from them sometimes, or it doesn't allow me to sleep as much as I probably should. So I might be a little bit more cranky with them, a little more short with them. And it's like, am I somehow like, am I being slightly hypocritical by, highlighting some of these good dad moments, but at the expense of making me maybe be a little shorter tempered with my kids? Like, it's, sometimes I kind of wrestle with that a little bit. So, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I will say there was a time when I first started with the blog that I was very strict about like a posting schedule, and I've recently slacked off on that a little bit to be like, like I should. My life and my kids need to come before my silly blog schedule, and if that means I need to just chalk one up and go to bed, then so be it, or something like that. So,
message to sponsors of Sunshine Dad: he didn't really mean that.
no, I won't. That's the one thing, I won't chalk up a sponsored post, but I might chalk up a trip to the zoo or something. We might not talk about that. So before we go, one other thing that I would want to emphasize that my dad instilled in me. He never let me win at anything, ever.
Tell me about that.
So we played sports a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He and I would say ping pong is a great example. He grew up playing ping pong. He had 2 brothers, and the 3 of them would just played a lot of ping pong. And he played a lot in college, I guess. We got a ping pong table at some point when I was in high school. It was one of the first times I'd ever really picked up a ping pong paddle. So my dad has always been a great coach and a great teacher. So he was coaching me up, teaching me how to play ping pong. So we, would go for a little bit. He's teaching me, learning whatever. We're kind of just volleying back and forth. After a while, like the competitive nature in me and him wants to, all right, volleying, it's great and all. Like, let's start keeping score. Yeah. So he mopped the floor with me. And continued to mop the floor with me every chance he got to the point where so I'm getting better leaps and bounds, but he's also remembering how to play ping pong better too. He would get to where he would take a paddle in his right hand and a paddle in his left hand and alternate hands. No matter where the ball was on the table or like in the room, he would go right hand, left hand, right hand, left hand, right hand, left hand. And at this point, I knew I was good enough to where I could place the ball. So I'm intentionally hitting it to the wrong side of his body. Like, didn't matter. He is still just smoking me in ping pong.
That is a super dad moment there.
So by the time, and 2 things happened out of this. One, let me say, eventually I finally beat him one game. 100 games minimum had been played, until I finally beat him. But by golly, I earned that win. You talk about feeling good about a win, that was on me, and there was no doubt in my mind. Did Dad kind of go easy on me? He would have died an old man having never lost to me in ping pong if he could have. And then it took me eventually it became to where it was even match and it was anybody's game, and that was another great, we'd go out there when he got home from work and when I got in from school or whatever, and we'd spend hours out there just talking and playing ping pong. But one, not only did I appreciate my wins better, but you also got to think he beat me 100 times, and I kept coming back because one, he showed me how to be a good winner. He didn't beat me and then rub it in so bad I never wanted to play him again. I learned 100 ways how to beat somebody and be a good sport about it. And he would, he'd beat me and then he'd say all right, let's talk about, what went wrong there. And he'd coach me up a little bit and we'd play again. And, he'd smoke me and then he'd coach me up a little bit more, So, and with anything, not just ping pong, any other sports or anything we did, he made me earn it, and I appreciated that. And so that's kind of something that I've decided I'm gonna carry on with my kids too. I'll coach you, I'll teach you, I'll do my best to make you better. But if we're keeping, if it's for real, we're keeping score. I'm sorry, you're sick. You're sick. I'm sorry, you're gonna lose. And when one day you finally beat me, you will have earned it, and you will feel really great about it.
That is an amazing story. We can't do any better than that. On that note, we're gonna wrap this up and put this one in the bank. This was amazing. Mike Smith, SunshineDad.com. And at some point, we're going to get your dad blogging because he must have 100 other stories like the ones you shared.
Yeah, he would need a vlog, I think. He would be good on video probably. Yeah.
There you go. That would be amazing.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for having me on this. I've really enjoyed spending this time with you and taking a trip down my own memory lane here.
This has been a lot of fun. Thank you very much for sharing. It's not too late to get into comic books. I'm going to send you some comic books, Mike, because I've done some Google research, and David did not wear spandex.
That's true. My brother-in-law just gave the boys 2 days ago some comic books, and they are very into them. They are very into them.
Awesome. Next time we talk to you, we hope that your kids will be playing ping pong left and right hand. On that note, you can find Mike Smith and his beautiful family at sunshinedad.com. Give him a visit, subscribe, join his email list. His stuff is great. Mike, thanks once again. Folks, this has been Balaji O with the Bravepreneur Parents Academy. Until next time, Shazam! We'll see you on the next episode. Bye-bye now.
Fear not. Although this chapter of Bravepreneur Parents Academy has come to its conclusion, we have many more adventures for you and your brave little heroes. Head over to bravequest.me for access to the Brave Quest Journal, an interactive activity playbook that rewards your little ones with points for accomplishing tasks that build character and unleash your child's inner superhero all before bedtime. We look forward to having you join us for more adventures next time on Bravepreneur Parents Academy.